Free speech versus hate speech. This is a big one, guys, and I'm going to weigh in here. The game footage you see here is just XCOM Enemy Unknown. It's just some backdrop footage for me talking, so it has nothing to do with the video itself. Now, just recently, Evalion lost her channel, and by recently, I mean it's been a couple weeks, almost a month now, so, yeah. I swear I work hard on videos. I don't take weeks to make them, I promise. So yeah, she is definitely alt-right, Holocaust denier, blame the Jews, you know, that type of stuff. You can see why the channel was taken down from that alone. It's in violation of YouTube's hate speech policy, and a lot of people would be saying, that's free speech, you're stifling free speech, and so let's just quickly go through what free speech is. Alright, so free speech is not being prosecuted for the words, expressions, or views by the government. That's it. There are zero exceptions. Any situation in a public park, the confines of your own home, or frickin' McDonald's. The government cannot come after you for the words or views you express. And then there's the age-old chank eunuch of the young circle jerks argument. You can't yell fire in a theater when there's no fire. But you can on a comedy stage. See, it's not yelling fire that gets you in trouble, it's the action you are partaking in, creating a false urgency or panic which could be harmful or dangerous to people, what is properly known as a false call to action. If there actually was a fire, it wouldn't be illegal. The legality is contingent on whether it is a lie or not. Similar story if you're holding a gun in public saying, I'm going to kill John Doe or whatever name or person group. That is an obvious serious threat due to the person's behaviors. First off, simply holding a gun in public when there is no threat is illegal enough. But again, the words themselves are not illegal, it's because you're communicating your highly illegal intent with proof of being able to do so, along with the abnormal behavior. That would be the legal part. You could quote mind me saying this threat just now, but it's not illegal because of the context of the video. Now, what if it's a joke? Well, you're communicating a joke, not a threat. If you're communicating a joke and someone receives it as a threat, it's still a joke. If you're communicating a threat but insist it's a joke, it's still a threat. It's about what intent you are communicating, not your personal intent or the intent received by the other party. The important part being communication. It's not what you want to convey, it is what is conveyed. And the same goes for how it is understood. Generally speaking, people understand communication. There are occasional mishaps, but without any context, people can understand the difference between I'm going to kill you with a light tone and a relaxed, casual body language, and I am going to kill you with a darker tone and a very uneasy body language or look. And now, the internet. Since there is rapid evolution in this space, there will probably always need to be constant update of laws until this rapid change starts to stagnate, but generally speaking, in my opinion, since this is not very consistent at all in law and enforcement, anything is legal unless it's a non-previously communicated threat with proof of how to commit it. An example being, I will kill you, and their address or photo of them is attached. Even if said information is ripped off the internet, you can still be liable, in my opinion, for the sake of consistency. So just to clarify, under this definition, it would exclude all those stupid YouTube, Reddit comments that say, go kill yourself, go die, I hate you, I will kill you, that's those types of things. I mean, technically the first three are not even threats, but some people like to conflate them with threats. You know who I'm talking about. So keys in, you motherfucker. It would also exclude threats from people you already have a relationship with, such as friends, family, and work colleagues. We can assume death threats in these contexts are non-serious because phone calls don't have body language attached to them and text messages don't have tone. It's safe to assume if your mother says, I'm going to kill you in a text message, it means she's just really pissed off at you because you fucked up. Now, how the internet should operate for death threats is, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer. I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about, honestly, but I think I do because I use the internet, if that makes any sense. I think this is a good starting point, so there might be more needed to add to it because I haven't thought out all the variables. I'm not a lawmaker, fuck off. But again, in short, free speech is defined by not persecuted by the government for words or views expressed, like I said before. Communication, call to action, lying, slander, and threats are simply not the same thing as words. Related, but not the same. The reason why you need to be liable for these things, such as threats, is because if you communicate a serious threat and then the victim calls the police, you can be arrested for your threat because that person must have their safety ensured within reasonable bounds. Your threat is in violation of their safety, and it's not pre-crime because you're being arrested for the intent to murder, not murder itself. You kind of get what I'm saying there? And you might be thinking, wow, free speech, that's an unalienable right. That belongs in Canada, doesn't it? That's definitely protected in Canada. Yeah, you'd be fucking wrong. It does not exist in Canada. Just listen to Section 1 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which translates to a hack constitution that a fucking retard made. Or I guess the champion of the bill, but I guess he's more of an asshole, but a pretty big asshole at that, because, I mean, Prime Minister, how much bigger can you get as an asshole? But yeah, whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. It's still retarded. But anyways, it reads, the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. Did you catch that? Subject only to such reasonable limits. Which basically means whatever people fucking decide. Like, honestly, that's not really free speech. Ultimately, when you have that clause, you can just write whatever fucking law you want to ban whatever type of speech you want. It's right there in the Canadian Constitution, which isn't really a constitution. It's actually a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, because it's not really a constitution. Seriously, this is just a vague way of saying, fuck you. You can't say whatever you want if we make a law about it. Okay, we've gone on long enough about free speech. Let's get to hate speech. What are hate speech laws in Canada? Alright, the Criminal Code of Canada, sections 318, 319, and 320 of the code forbid hate propaganda. Hate propaganda means any writing, sign, or visible representation that advocates or promotes genocide or the communication of which by any person would constitute an offense under the section. So you can't say, let's kill all black people. You can't say that. That's propaganda. Don't take this out of context, because crazy things have happened. They might fucking go after me. So please don't take this out of don't report this video. Please don't. Section 318 prescribes imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years for anyone who advocates genocide. Okay, you better not be in prison for 5 years for this type of shit. The code defines genocide as the destruction of an identifiable group. The code defines an identifiable group as any section of the public distinguished by color, race, religion, ethnic origin, or sexual orientation. So actually, under that, I could say kill all transgender people because it says nothing about gender. We could also say kill all men or kill all women, and that would be technically fine in this criminal code of Canada, but we might not want to say that because the kangaroo courts will get involved. We just know they will. I don't want to be fined, upwards of $1,000. That would kind of suck. Anyways, Section 319 prescribes penalties from a fine to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years for anyone who incites hatred against any identifiable group. Okay, yeah, see, there's our fines. Under Section 319, an accused is not guilty if he establishes that the statements communicated were true. So if, for example, I said 90% of Palestinian Muslims find homosexuality unacceptable lifestyle, then I guess I'm covered, right? Because that's a true statement. It's done by a valid study, blah blah blah. So I guess I'm covered there, technically speaking, in terms of the criminal code, that is. I wonder if I could just generalize that Muslims hate gay people, and I'd be covered there. I don't know. Maybe not. But I'm pretty sure that's the majority of Muslims. They definitely find homosexuality not acceptable. The second clause that would save your ass from this bullshit is, if in good faith the person expressed or attempted to establish by an argument an opinion on a religious subject or an opinion based on a belief in a religious text. So So I guess technically speaking, in Canada, if you hate gay people and you're referencing the Quran or referencing Leviticus, I guess technically you're protected. Wow, that's interesting. I wonder what constitutes as a religious text either, because I mean, does Marshall Applewhite's Book of Bullshit constitute as religious text, or can it be a blog on how everything's sexist, or and how science is bullshit, or something like that? Some feminist blog, or can it be a PowerPoint on Scientology? I don't know. Just questions I have for the criminal code, because it doesn't seem to be specific. If the statements were relevant to any subject of public interest, the discussion of which was for public benefit, and if on reasonable groups he believed them to be true. So if I say transgenders is a mental disorder because I think because there are high suicide rates, is that for public good? Can that be in public good? I don't know. If in good faith he intended to point out for the purpose of removal matters producing or tending to produce feelings of hatred toward an identifiable group in Canada, so I could say you Muslims suck because you hate gay people, you hate West, you hate a lot of things, you want to justify suicide bombings against America or some shit. Can that be covered? Hopefully, I would hope so. But still, I don't think we should test this out or anything like that. That might not be a good idea. So, we still have the kangaroo courts, and the real courts can side with them if they feel like it. But yeah, so maybe not test this out. You don't want to be dinged with jail time. Oh, and I forgot, Section 320 allows a judge to confiscate publications which appear to be hate propaganda. So yeah, they can take down your hate propaganda. Okay, that's understandable. Well, kind of. I mean, I'm trying to be considerate of laws that I don't think should exist, but anyways, if you go through the rest of the Wikipedia article, it's just going through these laws province by province. There isn't much variation. It's all based off of the criminal code. It mostly has to do with fines and the fine limits, so there isn't much variation. Let's continue on. Since our criminal code is pretty vague on what is hate speech and stuff like that, I really wanted to get into some examples of hate speech so that we know, what they're looking for and what they're going after. So, 7 examples of hate speech in Canada. Alright, this one isn't part of the 7, but we'll go through it anyways. Bill Whatcott distributed flyers in Regina and Saskatoon in 2001 and 2002 calling homosexuals sodomites and children and child molesters, so he hated gays. Whatcott published and distributed 4 anti-gay flyers in Saskatchewan that used the words like filth, propaganda, and sodomy to describe gay relationships and discussion of equality. The Supreme Court held that's not the Kangaroo Court, that's the Supreme Court, held that the first 2 flyers, titled Keep Homosexuality Out of Public Schools, that title seems okay, but who knows what the content is, and sodomites in our public schools, okay, that's definitely, I would say that probably goes under its hate speech laws, did constitute hate speech, and reinstated that the Saskatchewan Tribunal was finding, including $7,500 in fines against Whatcott. So the tribunal is the Kangaroo Court here. So yeah, he's kind of a dick, but a dick that should probably be mocked instead of fined, at least in my opinion. And going by those hate speech laws, all he has to do is bring up the Quran or the Bible, I guess. I mean, I don't know if he already tried to use that and they threw it out, but yeah, it doesn't say anything about his defense. Now, the court upheld an appeal to the court's decision on the second 2 flyers, so he was not fined on those 2. So 2 out of 4, I don't know. I guess you could call it a wash, but at the same time, you start paying $7,500. However, I can kind of see why, because he did distribute flyers. That's the iffy area, I think, on it. But yeah, it makes sense in terms of a legal standpoint. That being said, I haven't read the flyers themselves. Next case. John Ross Taylor, a self-described fascist, was jailed in Ontario in the 1980s for telephone hate messages. In 1990, the case reached the Supreme Court of Canada because it takes forever to fucking get in the Supreme Court because, of course, right, which ruled against Taylor. The majority ruled that although the Canada's Human Rights Act restricts freedoms of expression, that restriction is justified. Parliament's objective of preventing the harm caused by hate propaganda is of significant importance to warranting overriding a constitutional free. That makes no fucking sense, but you are a judge, I guess. Wonderful. The minority opinion was by Beverly McLean, now Canada's Chief Justice. It is arguable whether criminalization of expressions calculated to promote racial hatred is necessary. Exactly. Fucking preach, Judge McLachlan. Again, absolutely nothing on what he got dinged for. Like, it says nothing about the words he said, so I don't fucking know about that case. Let's continue on. James Costera had been teaching anti-Semitism to students in Irkville, Alberta for 14 years when a parent complained to the local school board. Why did it take 14 years for that to happen? Whatever. Local school board about his lessons. It was 1982, and Costera was also Irkville's mayor. Oh, that would be why. Okay. The story received international attention, and Costera was charged in 1984 under Canada's hate crime laws. He was convicted, but the decision was overturned on appeal after Costera's lawyer argued that the law was unconstitutional because it violated charter provisions on freedom of expression. Costera's case continued to bounce around the various courts until a landmark 1999 ruling by the Supreme Court said the criminal code section of public incitement of hatred did infringe on the charter, but that infringement was justified and upheld Costera's conviction. See, it's getting overturned because of the unreasonable limits. There's no finite thing, but he had a damn good lawyer, that's for sure. Ultimately, what I would rule, because he was a school teacher and a mayor, he should be fucking fired. And if he's a mayor, then let him be mayor. I mean, the people will vote him out because he's a Jew hater. I mean, it's pretty obvious they would vote him out unless they are just a town full of racists, I guess. I don't know. Next up, we have Ernest Zundale. Holocaust denier Zundale lived in Canada for 4 decades, making frequent court appearances to argue for the freedom to express his anti-Semitic views in books and pamphlets on a website. In 1992, the Supreme Court of Canada overturned his conviction for spreading false news, saying that the charge violated his charter rights to freedom of expression. The German-born Zundale, who wrote the introduction to the book Did 6 Million Jews Really Die?, was deported to Germany in 2005 after a federal judge ruled he was a threat to national security. What? He's a crazy person. He's not a threat to national security. Unless he picks up a gun and starts gunning down Jews. I think he just... Oh, whatever. He was freed from a German prison in 2010 after serving 5 years for denying the Holocaust, of course, because that's the way Germany is. Okay. David, native name. I'm not going to fucking bother. A once powerful leader of the Assembly of First Nations was stripped of his Order of Canada for remarks about Jews in 2002. Holy shit. Talk about starting from the top, going to the bottom. During a speech at a first gathering in First Nation leaders in Saskatoon, he said something racist. Fuck it. I'm not going to bother. However, it is important to note that he was acquitted of his hate speech. Alright, neo-Nazi custody case. 2 children removed from their Winnipeg home in 2008 after one, a 7-year-old daughter, showed up at her elementary school with racist writing and symbols on her skin. The Manitoba Court of Appeal later refused to allow the girl's stepfather, who was accused of teaching her and his biological son neo-Nazi beliefs, to appeal a custody order giving his statement permanent of custody to them. The court also dismissed a constitutional challenge from the father, who argued the government violated his rights to raise his children according to his beliefs. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about that one. I mean, it is a child, and children are pretty impressionable, and last thing you want to do is... I think he's just a terrible parent. Like, you are some dickhead asshole, but I'm not sure if the government should get involved here. I'm not fully sure on this one. See, this is why hate speech laws really suck, because they're not specific. They're just vague pieces of shit. And now we have a classic cross burning. On February 21st, 2010, a wooden cross was set aflame on the front lawn of an interracial couple. Wonderful. They don't hate black people, they hate white people for dating black people and fucking, I guess. And their children in Poplar Grove, Nova Scotia, brothers Nathana and Justin.
whatever, were convicted of public incitement of hatred as well as criminal harassment. Crown Attorney Daryl Klimek praised the conviction as a really significant decision for our country. He added that there had never been an official court decision which states that cross burning in this context is a hate crime. I would say you can't burn a cross on somebody's lawn because that's somebody's property. That's the biggest factor, even if it probably is a really terrible thing to do. It's their property, though. Don't fuck with their property. So, now the moment of truth. Where does that leave us with Evalion? Well, hate speech laws of Canada are completely different of YouTube's hate speech policy. A corporation reserves the right to ban anybody based on whatever the fuck they want. If I'm causing a nuisance or dressed like a stinky bum in a McDonald's, they can kick me out. They can fucking kick me out. They can call the police to come kick me out if I won't leave on my own behalf. And I probably won't go to jail for it unless I punched a cop or something like that on the way out. But as long as I don't, go back and the fact that I know that I'm banned and if I violate those terms, I could probably be, liable. It would be between me and McDonald's, our beef, not me and the government, what I'm saying. McDonald's and beef. Yeah, they have no beef. And so therefore, YouTube has the right to kick anybody off their service. They are a corporation, they're not the government, they're not a government institution, so they're allowed to deny service on whoever they want. Now, should they ban Evalion's whole channel? Because actually there was a lot of it that was like the anti-feminist, anti-SJW stuff that I do some of that stuff too. Hell, there's even a video about her freaking cat dying. Cats are evil, but whatever. But why should her whole channel go down? Well, if you look at somebody and the majority of their content is racist, hate speech, violating the policy type shit, then they're probably going to just say, fuck it, we're not going to reason with this person because we know that this is their bread and butter and they're just not going to listen. Take down their whole channel to prevent future bullshit. That's from the business side, that's probably what YouTube is thinking. Now, if it was, for example, me and I had a racist or a hate speech remark in one of my videos, then they would probably just, point it out. We've taken down this video, change it, don't do this again, blah, blah, blah. And as long as I comply, I will probably be fine. If I start not complying, they're going to get kind of increasingly pissed until they eventually say, fuck it, you're gone. Now, referencing back to Evalion as, a person and her views, things I don't agree with her on is the Holocaust denial and the Jewish conspiracy and what we need to do about the Jewish conspiracy. Whereas her anti-feminist stance is completely agreeable, along with statements such as, we've become a nation of pussies, and this whole idea of us going too far to the left. I think that's completely reasonable and makes perfect sense. So, interesting enough, she actually doesn't advocate for killing the Jews, which is quite interesting. A lot of alt-right people would advocate for that, but she does not advocate for that. I think she just kind of wants, affirmative action or, get the Jews out of the media, that type of thing. So, this is all referencing Feminist Flow's interview with her on his YouTuber Origins channel, which kind of highlights what her line of thinking is, which is actually really interesting. I think why she is alt-right the way she believes is because she describes herself as a loner, and very quickly in school, she kind of, I guess she started learning about Hitler and thought Hitler's great, he saved Germany or something like that, because she heard a whole bunch of bad things and then decided to Google it. I don't even think Google was around when I was in that age. But anyways, she decided to Google up Hitler and said, wow, look, I don't know, maybe she ended up on some anti-Semitic site and thought Hitler was great, and as a childish and, young, feeble mind, she might have been a little bit confused. And then when she came to school the next day with her views, I'm very generalizing here, so this is probably going to be 100% fucking wrong. It's close enough, I guess. Anyway, she mentioned that there was a kid that was descendant. Her grandmother was in the Holocaust, and basically she was using it as currency, the victimhood. Oh, my grandma was in the Holocaust, you should all feel bad for me, that type of shit, and kind of being a bitch about it, that's what she said. So I can understand why you would not like that person. Now, the interesting thing about it is because, that person was, I guess, more popular than her, probably knew how to play, the game better than her, because she does describe herself as a loner. People just laughed and ridiculed her and ignored her from society. So that's kind of interesting how that comes to be, because I want to quote something that she actually said. Is she predicted, oh yeah, YouTube will bring me down, and when they do, I'm just not, it just proves I'm right. And the reasoning behind that was because the censorship is saying, well, I'm talking about sensitive information. I'm talking about the truth. They don't want the truth. They need to shut me down, to shut me up, because they don't want the truth out there, and because it undermines everything they're trying to achieve for the Jewish conspiracy and shit like that, thing. And that line of thinking is really dangerous, I think, because instead of giving them a platform to openly engage in the free marketplace of ideas, we just say, fuck it. Don't talk to us. Be segregated, and then just continue to whittle in your crazy theory, you're not going to change your position if you don't hear the truth. If you can't even engage on somebody on a level because nobody's giving you a platform, and just, oh, you're crazy. They're not reasoning with you. They're not saying, well, why do you think that way? Oh, you think that way because typhus killed all the Jews? Well, how do you think they got typhus? Do you think maybe, just maybe, it was because of the horrible conditions of Auschwitz and shit like that? I mean, how do you explain all the skeletons? How do you explain all the stories of the GIs, American GIs, that, liberated these camps, and even the Russian GIs that, well, they're not GIs, but the Russian soldiers, the Soviet soldiers that liberated the camps in the East? How do you explain the Schindler story? How do you explain that all these Jews came out of these death camps and all had the same story ready for you to... I don't get the Jewish conspiracy. It's so fucking absurd. And do you think maybe that the Jewish media thing is just, I don't know, they're just more successful at media? Well, I mean, when you look at the Holocaust, the people who are most likely to survive are the people that, A, foresaw the tyranny of Germany and got the fuck out, successfully that is, and B, either, took up arms, were a little bit more aggressive, and joined the Jewish resistance. I mean, a lot of them died, but there was plenty that still lived, and C, just did what they had to do to survive in the camp. So you think, maybe there is some sort of, what do you call it, Darwinism there? But see, that's the thing, is I don't think a lot of these alt-right have thought of the rational argument against their rational argument, which, to them it's rational, right? And that's the frustrating part about it, is it seems like the left is really upset about anybody who, says crazy shit like this, whereas the right is like, oh, you hate white people, you want to cause a white genocide, Ghazi, who is his name, Black Hitler? Well, fuck you, I don't care. You're just some crazy fucker. That, as a rightist, I would say, talking in anecdotes, but that's why there wasn't some sort of campaign to just knock down Black Hitler's walls and, just make sure he's banned and stuff like that. There wasn't any type of outrage from the right about that. There was just like, you're a fucking crazy fuck. And the liberals really hated Evalion and her, alt-right views. So, they just assembled a mob mentality and just spammed the shit over the report button and made sure that YouTube noticed it and she got banned, And now here's the really iffy part about this, where this gets really complicated, is even though YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever gram is all a private enterprise, a lot of people are, social media is now ingrained in how people in 2016 express themselves to their friends, to their followers, to people all over the world. It really is ingrained and very important societal and culture-wise in terms of how they express themselves. So getting banned on YouTube, people really hate it because they feel like they're stifling free speech, when what they're really doing is abiding by their hate speech policy, which is their own thing. And it's not like you're going to just start tomorrow and start your own social media platform. I mean, social media platforms do die. Let's look at MySpace. I mean, it was shit, and then everybody left. So if it does get to that point, people will go to the next Facebook. But there is something to be said, once a social media platform reaches the full market share potential, all their contenders are basically in the dust until something
like that, where there's a huge shift in mentality happens. But I think the point does stand that social media is very important to the culture of us now. You know, people who have a computer and access to a computer are generally on Facebook, and this is how they express themselves. This is how they, exercise their right to free speech. And yet it's a private entity, and it has its own rights and responsibilities. So it'll be interesting to see if people push for regulation to protect First Amendment rights on social media platforms. That would be really interesting, because as a conservative, I really don't like regulation. I don't like all these stupid rules that just harm small business. But at the same time, there is plenty of regulations that do make perfect sense. For example, if it's a box of crackers, I would like to know what's in it. That's, I think, a reasonable and useful regulation. That is a justified regulation. So I would find regulations on social media platforms really interesting as a conservative. I'm kind of torn, because I do believe in the business's right to do things, but it is a sensible regulation. And at the same time, the business does have to worry about the advertisers. That's how they make their revenue. They can't just throw a Tide commercial with some crazy white right-winger that's, advocating gas to Jews. Like, the advertiser's message is getting destroyed, and they're less likely to advertise and suddenly lost revenues. It's a toss-up. And the last thing I wanted to say was the consumer has a right to be butthurt. And why would you say that? Why say that? Well, because everybody's like, oh, if you don't like it, then leave Facebook. Don't get butthurt. Oh, this is the internet. Oh, they made their flagging campaign. If you want the same standards applied to Black Hitler, then you should probably do your own flagging campaign. Well, I don't have to like that. I don't have to like anything. I don't have to like things just because you tell me to. Just because you say, oh, it's the way things are. I don't have to like the way things are. Everybody has a right to just be like, fuck this sucks. And we have the right to make that displeasure heard, even if we aren't willing to take action on it. That's the first fucking amendment right there. Just because I don't like something Obama does or Trudeau does, well, I don't have a First Amendment, but just because conservative, very pro guy hates something the anti-gun lobby does, doesn't mean he's gonna go and start the militia, for Christ's sake. He's allowed to just say what he hates about America or what Obama's doing or the anti-gun lobby and not take any serious action yet. I mean, where the fuck would we be if we just all started a riot when people were pissed off at the government? Oh, but conservatives lost the election. And he's not allowed to, advertise his ideas, advertise why he's a conservative, advertise why Obama's an idiot. Fucking McDonald's is allowed to run billion-dollar ads all over the United States of America, but a conservative isn't allowed to, say how bad Obama sucks. No, you're allowed to advertise your ideas however you see fit, as long as you're not violating somebody else's First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights or third, fourth, fifth, sixth, right? And then when you have clear-cut cases of Facebook and Twitter just banning political opinions, which are not deemed in violation of YouTube's hate speech policy based on their code, they're liars. They're lying Zuckerberg, lying crooked Jack. But of course, this censorship is fine because they're conservative political opinions. They're not liberal opinions, because it would violate somebody's faith to disagree with an assault rifle ban, or a magazine ban, or an extended clip ban, or whatever gun ban, or to say, I don't like illegal aliens in the country. That would violate somebody's Mexican safe space, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, because that's racist. Mexican isn't a race. And guess what? The important word? Illegal. Instead of saying that's mean, if you really want illegal aliens in the country and not to be prosecuted, why don't you advocate for changing the law to make these illegal aliens legal citizens? Why don't you advocate for that? I mean, I think that's really stupid, but it makes more sense than saying it's mean. But again, these are political opinions, and it's even worse when, for example, with the Louder Crowder podcast, he ran into some issues with Facebook where his posts were getting taken down because they violated some sort of policy, but they didn't specifically point to a specific policy, and they weren't very transparent And ultimately, there was nothing in the post. They didn't know even which post that was being taken down, as to, try and ensure that they were abiding by their hate speech policy. It's the transparency that really pisses me off, and it's even worse with, for example, the Louder Crowder podcast, that because he has advertisers, he has to uphold their end of the bargain because they're expecting him to reach a certain amount of audience share. And when Facebook just kind of blocks certain things like that, that's really a wrench in terms of their agreement with his advertisers. See, I think that's the logic at play here. I just want a free marketplace idea. That's what I want. And I'm allowed to advocate for what I want. Hell, I'm allowed to tell liberal lobbies that they're stupid. I'm allowed to argue with them. I'm allowed to say they suck. Wait, hold up. We're talking about Canada here. Actually, I'm not, because, hate speech, which is rapidly evolving. Yeah, I think we should make sure we have a good screening process for gay males who want to donate blood.
That's hate speech. Pay $10,000. Go to jail. Do not pass go.
Yeah, I think people who have cocks should go into the men's washroom, and people who have vajayjays should go into the ladies' room.
That's hate speech as well. Go to jail. Pay me more money. You violated my safe space.
Yeah, I think we should be tough on border security, and be aware that it's Muslims and people coming from Islamic countries that are, the ones that are have a weaponized religion and stuff like that, and and I think we should be conscious and take efforts to stop that.
Oh my God, that's so bigot of you! Racist, Islamophobic, white cisgender, the patriot.
Yeah, I know that's fear-mongering, but these are the people that will lobby for these types of laws if they go unchallenged. Let's face it, they are radically motivated, crazy-ass people that have got fucking Obama, reciting the wage earnings gap as if the patriarchy boogeyman was real. And north of the border, they have a goddamn feminist, no, not regular second wave, no, secular feminist elected as prime minister. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, if you don't think that guy's not going to lobby for bullshit, oh, wait, he already has. He's changed O Canada, the words of O Canada, to be more gender neutral. Well, guess what? It never was a oh my God. It never was a gendered issue because the context of the word sons, which was changed, was not actually in the context of male. This is the dumbest fucking thing ever. So, if I say, oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all thy sons command, oh, hate speech. And you might be thinking I'm making this up, but it's real. Let's check out this lovely taxpayer-funded piece of liberal opinionatedness. Christians warn that changing O Canada is a slippery slope to removing God in the Holy Cross. Because it is. Pity the poor pagans. Don't they have rights? And what about the Rastafarians? To say nothing of the Satanists? Okay, those are secular religions, so let's just move on. Such questions wouldn't seem so weird once the attention turns away from the liberal MP's heroic. Why is he a hero? He's not a hero for fucking trying to change the goddamn whatever. To update the rusty old words. Oh, rusty, yep. Whatever is old is rust. We must go in with the new, of course, of the national anthem. That's because his bill leaves untouched some other words. Those concerned, can we talk about this? And even touchier topic, the Christian God. Oh my fucking God, oh my God, the Christian God, he's so fucking dangerous, so risky, we can't oust him, people might blow us up for it. Holy shit, if we draw the Christian God in a non-perfect light, oh my God, people might shoot us with AK-47s, holy shit. God bashing, the Christian God bashing, is not risky at all. Atheism is like mainstream, so cut the bullshit. The heartless conservatives, I know he doesn't say that, but that's what he's implying once you read the rest of the sentence, were not keen to help the ailing French name complete his project. Okay, they don't want to complete his project because he's sick. Bullshit. I don't know, I'm gonna guess the reason why they blocked his bill was because it was horseshit. It's stupid. Maybe that's why. They didn't agree with it. But anyways, limited to as to the question of gender equality. Like I was saying before, even so, with the support of the majority government, the change will soon pass and will be called to warble the new words in all of us command instead of all thy sons command. That was the sexist words and lyrics in the anthem that we've all been singing for such a long time. So therefore, pretty much all women, Canadian women, have been internally misogynist, and all Canadian men are just oppressive misogynists. Wow. Like I said, in all thy sons command has nothing to do with sexism. It has nothing to do with gender at all. It has everything to do with actually religion. Believe it or not, it has nothing to do with women or males. So, good frickin' job. On the side note, I really love this. In June 1990, the Toronto City Council voted 12-7 in favor of recommending to the Canadian government, because, Toronto's the center of the universe, they can impose whatever they want on all Canadians, that the phrase, our home and native land, be changed to our home and cherished land. And all thy sons command be partly removed to all of us command, which has already been done, because apparently the words native land were not appropriate for many Canadians who are not native born. So immigrants? You're talking about immigrants. Their children would be born here. But back to the taxpayer article. Unmolested so far, though, in the debate about sons versus us is the looming God problem, because we all know God is a giant problem, rampant problem. We just can't separate church and state. Oh my god, it's impossible. Just the rampant corruption all over the fucking place. Bullshit. It lurks mainly in the French version of the anthem, which the ungodly have muttered for the ear. Oh, they've been forced to mutter rhetoric about the church. Oh my fucking... You are so oppressed. Because the evil, institutional, Protestant church and Catholic church have been the backbone of this country since the beginning of time, so therefore they're ingrained in the anthem. But, we have to change because it's 2016 and some people just don't subscribe to the standard mainstream religion of this country. Side note, I love how all these liberals hate Christianity, yet they demand that marriage for gay people is a human right in churches. So either they acknowledge the importance of the church as, a cultural thing, or it's not important, it should get out of the anthem because it's not important. Pick one. I don't care. Just be consistent, please. The English version, of course, does invoke the Almighty, God keep our land glorious and free. What's wrong with that? But the French version, which preceded the English one, so therefore it's more relevant apparently because there's less French speakers, is not a translation. It seems to be noticeably more militant in its advocation of crusading Christianity, which is translated to... Let's hold on. Let's get my French going on here. Carton bras sata pour tirer per les saints pour la croix. Did I do it right? Oh, I just fucked that up, didn't I? Honestly, I just love reading out the French on a cereal box in the morning and just massacring the crap out of it. It's a great way to start your day. The Frosted Flakes, it's got 5% calcium content and 130 calories per serving, which is très bien, comment ça va, c'est vacu. Comment va-vous une fille de la garçon, and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I'm getting bored of this article. It kind of shows there. Whatever. What it really says is, because your arms know how to carry on a sword, it knows how to carry a cross, so we're deep into the onward Christian soldiers territory. The French have always been, very, for la croix, Viva la Quebec, and shit like that. So, that's just the way they are. They're, the French have always been like that. So don't just fuck off. I'm getting tired of this. It's a whole bunch of rhetoric about lyrics. Because that is important, guys. The national anthem is very important,
very important to the lifestyle, well-being of Canadians. Incredibly important, guys. We have to change it because it's just going to be revolutionary. It's going to change all our lives. Just shut up already, okay? I'm tired of all this crap about how this is so fucking important. Just, it's a national symbol. It's not going to hurt you, okay? Unless there was a fucking penis on the $5 coin. That doesn't make any fucking sense. 5-cent coin. Then, okay, sure, you might have a goddamn point. But it's just lyrics. They're words. Like, seriously, if you hate lyrics this much, why don't you go after Marilyn Manson or Rage Against the Machine for their hateful, insightful lyrics and, I don't know, something like that, for fuck's sakes. At the end of the day, just leave it the way it is. If it ain't broke, don't fuck it up. And so, to refer back to the title of this article, yes, this is a slippery slope. Because where does it stop? I mean, they said this when they were going to change they originally changed this to from all thy sons to command to all of us in command. They're saying, oh, this is a slippery slope. Stop changing symbols. Guess what? Oh, no. This is as far as it goes. We won't go any further. They changed that, and now they're talking about this bullshit. We say this again, and what happens 6 months from now? They start, oh, we need a verse dedicated to women. That's nice, but suddenly we need a verse dedicated to gay people. We need a verse dedicated to lesbians, queer questioning, transgenders, cat people, Martian motherfuckers. Suddenly, this whole fucking anthem is 20 fucking verses long, and you have kids passing out in fucking schools because they're standing too long, and it causes circulation issues. You can pass out for standing too long. It's fucking happened to people, actually myself included, in fucking cadets. I was standing for too long in the sun, and I passed out once. Look, I'm not trying to fearmonger here, but there needs to be a line drawn. National symbols, already existing ones, just leave them the fuck alone. Why not just put all those worthless liberal arts degrees to some fucking good use and make your own goddamn national symbols? Just make new ones. I don't care if you make new ones. If you want to make the Canadian queer or questioning song, go ahead. I don't care. I don't give a shit. You can have that. Make it your own. Keep it your own. Edit yourself. I don't give a damn. What I don't like is you fuckers coming in and saying, well, this is problematic, we need to change it. I don't think it's problematic, so I think we need to leave it the same. Oh, we're in power, so change it. What the fuck? Look, I'm tired of wasting time on this shit. Come on, guys. I'm tired of our politicians wasting time on this shit when we pay them, and they're just discussing this crap in the House of Commons when they could be discussing, real crap, like, I don't know, saving that guy that got beheaded in the fucking Philippines. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Oh, and if you think changing the anthem was absurd, yeah, remember how I said free speech covers anything a comic can say on a comedy stage? Well, I did say it should because we have these examples. So our first example is Mike Ward, very famous as well as very popular, controversy, I guess if you want to call it that. Comedian Mike Ward defends his edgy, in quotations, look, good comedy is about inventing funny. We don't laugh at jokes we've all heard before. We laugh at the new ones that we've never heard before. Oh, I've never thought of it in that way. Haha, that's hilarious. You can be a funny person and have a really funny personality. But in terms of your content of your jokes, they have to be pushing the bar. They have to be out there. They have to be edgy. They have to be absurd. Because we don't pay to go hear jokes that aren't very funny. We go to pay to hear jokes that are, God, bloody hysterical and we've never heard before. And that's why they're hysterical, is because we've never heard them before. That's the way I see it. So, yeah, this is stifling comedy, blah, blah, blah. Let's continue. So he defends his edgy style before Quebec Human Rights Tribunal. Okay, if you don't know anything about human rights tribunals, they're bullshit. We call them the kangaroo courts for the reason because they don't have a clear understanding of the goddamn law. And then, for some dumb fucking reason, somebody gave them the authority to issue fines, and then you have to go fight those fines in the real courts. What a waste of time. So the joke that he made that he's in trouble for is essentially this. He's talking in context of a Make-A-Wish kid
who first entered the charity 5 years ago and sang for the Pope in 2006. So the joke is, but now, 5 years later, he's still not dead. Me, I defended him like an idiot, and he won't die. Since I'm not a comedian, that doesn't sound very fucking funny. As far as Quebec comedian Derek Singwin says in this quote, "It wasn't mean to hurt the kid, it was meant to make people laugh," which it did hundreds of thousands of times, so apparently it worked. You know, it was a good joke, funny joke, made people laugh, it didn't suck. But let's not take his word for it. Roll clip.
Là, vivre son rêve. Je le défendais, puis j'ai pas arrêté de le défendre. Sauf que là, 5 ans plus tard, Chris, il est pas encore mort! Il meurt pas, le petit tabarnak! Moi, je le défendais comme un cave, et lui, il meurt pas. Moi, je te défends, toi, tu crèves, câlisse!
Would you look at that? Everyone's fucking laughing. Yeah, you don't need to understand French to understand laughter, so that's a big check mark on funny joke. Now let's move on to Guy Earl, who was fined $15,000 for calling a lesbian ugly. Yeah, lesbians aren't particularly known for their pretty looks. I mean, when you're trying to attract other women instead of men, then I guessing you're gonna skip the cosmetics department and the beauty department. You're gonna go to Fat Slob and look like a dude. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna put on a fucking hoodie, a gangsta hat, and look like a thug weirdo fuck from Vancouver. That's what you're gonna do, because you're trying to attract women and no longer trying to attract men, so they're not particularly known for their looks, generally speaking. I'm not talking about all lesbians, fuck. But no, in this case, the Human Rights of BC Tribunal upheld the fine to pay Lenora Parody $15,000 fucking dollars for insulting her, who claim she suffered lasting physical and psychological effect after Mr. Earl directed a string of lesbian slurs at her during a 2007 Vancouver open mic night. Okay. Words do not hurt people. Fuck. That's impossible to have physical damage from this. That clear bullshit. Okay, lasting psychological effect. Okay, grow a pair of balls. I thought lesbians were supposed to be, tough. I'm starting to believe Milo that lesbians are fucking crazy. Milo Yiannopoulos, he says lesbians are fucking batshit crazy. So I'm starting to inclined to believe him based on this anecdotal evidence. At least this one is fucking crazy. But see, this is the problem with these hate speech laws. If you can prove that it does psychological damage to you because you're a weak, giant pussy, then the offender pays money to the government. How does this work?
I can't even sometimes. I can't even. When it comes down to it, are these laws necessary? No, I don't think so. I think people, and Canadians in particular, have a strong enough value system that they can self-police their own speech. And for the few individuals that are wrong or otherwise fail to self-police their own words, let society shame them. Is that not a perfectly reasonable position to have? Oh, but the point of that criminal code is to protect against hate propaganda. You know what? Let's give hate propaganda an open debate, an open forum, and let us challenge hate propaganda. Let's fight hate propaganda with words and not by force, in that free marketplace of ideas. In a population of reasonable people, good ideas will shine through. All we have to do is welcome the challenge.
Bring 'em on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
Free speech. It's that simple. Why not be prosecuted by the government for views or opinions or expressions? Why should that be limited? Give me a good reason in the comments if you still disagree at this point. Because in 2016, there's so many loud fucking people trying to tell me what I can and can't say that I have to hide behind a fucking jellyfish. Just because I don't want to lose my job for sharing political opinions on the fucking internet. And if there's any proof that absolute lunacy of hate speech has gone too far, look no further than the responses to the Hebdo massacre. If you made it this far, thank you all for listening. I know this has been really long, and have a good day.